Okay, so we are back with a second example of, in this case, we're subtracting rational expressions with different denominators. The last one was adding. So this one, we can start off and hopefully with all the factoring experience that you had in Module 4, you are itching to factor these two bottom denominators. And I would really encourage you to go ahead and do that at this step because we want to see if there are any common factors kind of popping up on us in that one. So we're going to go ahead and actually do that the very first thing. And so 7v plus 49, those share a common factor of 7. So that will factor as 7v, 7 times the quantity of v plus 7. And we still have our minus. And then we've got v plus 3. And then that 9v plus 63, they share a common factor of 9. And that will factor as a v plus 7. So hopefully that really is something that you're starting to recognize there with those binomial, whether it's in the numerator or it's in the denominator, we're starting to recognize that, oh, I could factor that expression, that it has a simplified factored form there. So in the previous example, we had that denominator was z plus 6 and z minus 1. Those definitely didn't share any common factors, but the 7v plus 49 and that 9v plus 63, we're noticing a common factor there of v plus 7. Now, I can't cross them out, right, because they're both on the bottom. So the crossing out would have to occur if one was in the bottom and one was in the top. So definitely can't cross them out, but it is nice to see that we do have a common factor. Okay, still didn't make our denominators the same. We're still going to have to do some work on this one. So again, we are looking for that LCD, which is the least common multiple of our denominators. So I already have the factored form of our 7v plus 49. I went ahead and did that, very first step. So that was a 7v plus 7. So 7 times that quantity. And then the second denominator was 9v plus 63. And it factors as 9 times v plus 7. Okay. So the LCD here, remember, we note what factors show up in either of those factored forms. So I see a factor of 7, so it gets included. I see a factor of 9, so it's also going to get included. Now they both have the v plus 7 factor, so I'm only going to write it one time because we don't want to do any repeats, but it's how many times, what's the greatest number of times it occurs in any one of them? It's just one time. So it occurs one time up here and one time down below, so that's still just one time. So that LCD is going to be 7 times 9 times that quantity of v plus 7. Okay, so this is what I need to make my denominators look like. So in the previous example, we said, okay, we can see that there is a factor there. We just need to multiply by that missing piece. And that's the same thing that we're going to do here. So there are actually 3 factors that make up our LCD, a 7, a 9, and a v plus 7. So this denominator has 2 of them already. It has the 7 factor and the v plus 7 factor. So all I need to do is make it have my factor of 9. So I'm going to multiply that bottom by 9, and then it'll have all 3 factors, the 7, the 9, and the v plus 7. And what I did to the bottom, I've got to make sure I go ahead and do that to the top as well, because that's that convenient 1. 9 divided by 9 is 1, so I didn't change the value here. I'm still multiplying by 1. I'm just going to change its form a little bit. I'm creating an equivalent expression. So now we move over here to the second denominator. So it has a factor of 9 and it has the factor of v plus 7 like our LCD, but it's missing our factor of 7. So we're going to give it a factor of 7 by multiplying by 7. And what I do to the bottom of that fraction, I also have to do to the top. So there you go. We now have matching denominators. And I will go ahead and clean that up just a little bit. Because if you notice, this 7 times 9 is really 63 times v plus 7. But I waited to clean it up because it's, if we keep it like this, 7 times 9 times that v plus 7, it's really easy to see what factors are there already in the denominator and what factor or factors is missing. But we will clean it up to be that 63. So I have matching denominators now. So that's going to be 63 times that v plus 7 quantity minus 63 times v plus 7, and that's a really good sign, because if these don't match up after you've done all that work, then something happened, because that's the whole point of our LCD and our multiplying by convenient one is to get matching denominators. So I'm just going to clean up our numerators. So that's 9v minus 45. So that's at module 3, multiplying monomial times binomial, or we call it the distributive property. So 7v plus 21. So we've cleaned up, and again, it doesn't look like what we started with originally, but I can tell you that if you were to replace a value of v, right, so put in a value of v in this expression up here, and you hit enter, and you did the same thing with the same value of v down here, you're going to get the exact same value. So definitely looks different. Doesn't look like v minus 5 and 7v plus 49 over anymore. It looks like 9v minus 45 over 63 times that v plus 7. But they do have the same value for the same value of v. So that's what it means by equivalent expressions. So now matching denominators. I'm going to go ahead and write that denominator down because that will be the denominator of our difference. So 9v minus 45 in that numerator minus 7v plus 21. So I'd hate for you to do all this wonderful and beautiful work and then, you know, err in your work here because you're not being careful of that minus that you're subtracting that binomial. So just be really careful. I'm actually, again, going to change that to addition. And when we change that sign, the minus to the plus, we have to change these signs as well. So it's going to be a negative 7v minus 21. So if you struggle with that, that's definitely a technique to kind of remind yourself. So 9 plus negative 7 is a positive 2. Negative 45 plus a negative 21 is going to be a negative 66. And then I can write that over 63 times v plus 7. Now if you're worried about, again, simplifying here, you could actually factor that numerator, which would be 2 times v minus 33, and you could go all the way back to that 7 times 9 times v plus 7, and you can see, oh, and you can't see that on the screen. So if you're worried about simplifying there, if it seems like it simplifies to you, it actually does not, because the factors in the numerator are 2 in the v minus 33. I have a factor of 7, 9, and the v plus 7 in the denominator. You can see there are no common factors from the top to the bottom, and so it does not simplify any further. So we simply go back to that original 2v minus 66 in the numerator, and then I'm going to go ahead and distribute with the 63. So it's going to be 63v plus, and 63 times 7 is 441. So again, these problems just take more time, more dedication, more effort, more energy. So you just have to pay attention, stay strong, keep with it, really, really work on that LCD work. Okay? All right, I'll see you in the next video, which is our last.